What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to the Injectable Sarm vlog. This training footage is a milestone for me, so this is pretty much back to normal training, but you guys see the title of the video, what I wanted to talk about. So I announced it on my previous topic video that I have gynecomastia again. So with the gyno surgery, my tit job was unsuccessful, meaning when I got that surgery, I was very adamant on having the surgeon on camera. I wanted to showcase to the world, like, hey, we need to stop abusing aromatase inhibitors and prolonging getting the surgery. I wanted to showcase, the surgery just essentially start to finish. I broke down the cost. I took my, cameraman Andrew to the actual place. We got him on camera. It was definitely putting his business, to my brand, attaching to my brand. And obviously he knew that this is a cosmetic surgery. This is, his surgery center. And basically, I'll just break it down like this. Like, I was kind of like, all right, I am a bodybuilder. Obviously, this channel is about documenting PED abuse over the years. This is my journey, and, I'm not probably going to get away from compounds. However, I am very strategic. I do not use compounds that, generate gyno quickly, and I have kept it under control for quite a while. It was bad in my right nipple, I believe. But he said, oh, your gyno is like minuscule, especially for all the stuff you abuse and everything. And, I don't want your nipples to look inverted. And, in between the lines, I'm going to be honest, like, I was happy that he was on camera, and I didn't want him to be perceived like, this surgery is going to hurt the reputation of his surgery center. And, I agreed to take his take on it, which is an artistic take on the gyno surgery. So basically, I did not stipulate that I want the entire gland removed, because in a private conversation between me and him, he did not want my nipples to look inverted. This is a tit job at the end of the day, and he's on camera, he's doing a lot for me, and to me the videos around the gyno surgery is showcasing to the younger enhanced athletes that, hey, like, instead of destroying your cholesterol, fearing gyno, and all this stuff, I'm going to vlog and document this immediately. Going to showcase exactly the process, the recovery, and everything. And in my head, I guess I thought, like, okay, well, I'll just keep, it's basically fixed. I'll keep it under control. Bad move. I should have fought and argued with him. I should have destroyed the entire gland, told him to remove it, have the whatever inverted nipples, and just ask for more of, like, hey, this is like a performance thing, because upon this part of the recovery, I do notice my gyno in both my nips has returned. How bad is it? Well, I won't truly know how it sits until I'm around 220 pounds and I'm walking around between 245 and 250 pounds in this footage. So it's like one of those things where I'm just focused on recovering my strength right now. The training has been going really well. You guys saw some pretty heavy dumbbell pressing, and I'm doing some pretty heavy machine pressing. This is filmed later in the night. I'm able to maintain my frequency the entire workout, and I'm focused on showcasing the frequency evolving, and the cycle's going well, everything's going well. However, it's like this gyno surgery is definitely going to put a stipulation around, my movement, as far as like how quickly I want to get lean. I'm recovering the strength right now. That's the goal, is that I'm not even training in quotation marks like a bodybuilder. I'm more focused on essentially building the strength base. What the broccoli hairs don't do, right? I'm keeping it very simple. I'm focused on explosive high ATP movement, and I'm focused on controlling the negative a little bit, but really focused on, powerlifting style contractions with bodybuilding. You could argue it's power building. This isn't really for muscle building per se, but I'm starting to actually chip away at my CNS. And I do want to throw up a little video of like how my CNS used to behave, which I will throw up these dumbbell rows of me doing the 125 pounds. Like, there's a lot of room for me to recover my actual strength base. And at this point, that's pretty much all I have left to do. And each training session at this point, it's really dialing into the point where I want to record my workouts constantly, and it's actually worth recording my workouts. I'm super excited. But on the other flip side of the coin, that gyno surgery was actually really hard to recover from. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, it was a pretty hard recovery. And for me, I do go pretty nuts when I don't get to train constantly. And that's my output that I like to exert every day to maintain my frequency. And I have worked diligently to get it to this point to where you guys are going to see crazy sets again. You're going to see high-paced workouts. You're going to see me definitely shift into a more powerlifting tone as far as the training goes. And then you're going to see me dial it back. And then you're probably going to see me switch into high-volume bodybuilding training. Like, you're going to see me flourish with all the training styles again. I'll explain why I'm doing each style. But right now I'm focused on sheer CNS electrical holding all day. And that's where I'm at. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, this gyno is definitely an issue because I have to get that over with again. And this time I'm hoping that he can at least cut me a deal. Even if he cuts me a deal, the money's not really the biggest situation. The situation, it's a recovery. That tit job is, I thought the tit job wasn't going to be that bad when I got my first tit job, but then as the recovery went on, I'm like, holy crap, this is definitely some downtime. It set my physique back. I remember after my tit job, I was like vicious in the gym trying to make up ground, and I'm running into that situation again. But if you want to learn from my mistakes, I definitely would argue with the gyno surgeon, like, hey, I am not a guy who, got caught up with phytoestrogens or, had some sort of issue growing up. Like, my gyno is induced from fucking steroids and SARMs and mixing around performance enhancing drugs over the years. This is like something that I do, just similar to how guys go and drink at the bar and drink phytoestrogens fucking weekly. Like, I want my whole gland removed. I want every bit of the gland removed because it will grow back. And even if it's artistically not what you want as, a cosmetic professional that's rated on acute vanity perception of his surgeries, I would like you to consider that I am a performance-driven individual and that this gyno can come back. And now I'm sitting here like I know all this information in my head and I have gyno again. I don't want to show my physique. Obviously, I'm going to show my physique. I am recomping very rapidly at this point. But, yeah, the physique I don't really like. It's like I'm going to cut down and look at that gyno, and I am not going to take drugs to shrink that gyno. Like, that was my big thing doing that gyno surgery public on YouTube was like, hey, a big problem in the enhanced bodybuilding community is that everyone fears gyno and they are using tons of aromatase inhibitors and or selective estrogen receptor modulators, and they are fucking up their bodies or cholesterol, halting their gains, trying to stop this gyno from forming when eventually, in my opinion, if you abuse shit long enough, it's going to probably form eventually if you are prone to it. I don't feel like I'm that gyno prone, but I do notice my gyno is fully back and I will need another surgery. As you can see with my arm, the yk11 is wild. Like, I have not really dropped a lot of weight and the recomposition is happening rapidly. As far as what I'm taking, it is essentially injectable LGD sporadically based on my central nervous system recovery that day of the DOM cycle, injectable yk11, MK677 high dosage fluctuating, as well as oral yk11 sprinkled in there. And I've been using the Chemio brand. So if you Google Ryan Russo Linktree, check out Chemio for really potent liquids. This cycle has been very reminiscent of the previous cycle, and I am showcasing that I'm not really focused on sheer muscle tissue. I am focused on building electricity of my central nervous system to maintain tenacity throughout the workout so I don't fade during the workout. A way to think about this would be like more powerlifting. Like if I had to come in and deadlift so many sets, on that last set I want the same amount of tenacious aggression that I had on the first set, so then I can take that eventually back into high volume bodybuilding training. Maybe when I get my gyno surgery, I'm taking it one day at a time here. But as you can see from these bent over rows, how I'm functioning late at night, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to vlog. I'm ready to show exactly what I've been working on. And it just sucks because we're just going to point out the gyno the whole time. And I'm chill with it. I do accept that, I agree to not have the gland fully cut out. It wasn't really an issue after the surgery, but getting back to this size, me reacting completely normal to PEDs again, it's noticeable. I'm going to announce it before I start doing posing footage and documenting the look, because the recomp has been crazy. It's been absolutely wild that I have not really lost a lot of weight. And when I started adding in the injectable YK, not only did my bones and shit get brittle, and I became very wary of training like you're seeing in this. I'm doing dead stop, bent over Romanian rows, where I'm focusing on just that nasty electrical surge of peak contraction of my whole back and using zero momentum doing dead stop reps. This is not pretty lifting to watch, but this is me preparing my body to build a powerlifting, in quotation marks, power builder strength base, which I can take into high volume training later. The strength base comes first. This is what the broccoli hairs don't do. You actually have to pick up heavy weights and put them down and pick them up. Like Ronnie Coleman has already said all these quotes, like, ain't nobody want to lift that heavy ass weight. Like, I'm going over to the heavy ass weights and just getting my central nervous system used to moving them. And you can see in this old you can see in this old lifting clip that, yeah, I used to row the 125s like a joke. So because I can't do that, even though I'm bigger currently now, my muscularity is definitely, you can see, I don't mentally feel in the same spot because the tenacity of the weights I used to move, I'm not there yet. This gives me a weird paradox complex when I'm strength training, and I would rather just rebuild my strength base very close to where it was at than go straight into high volume bodybuilding training. And the big nudging factor is the gyno. I'm going to be honest. The big nudging factor is the gyno. I definitely am going to get a presentable, like, we can take the shirt off and everything. But I'm just letting you guys know that, I'll have to get another gyno surgery. As of right now, I wanted to record fun power building stuff and start there and work my way up into, preparing the downtime for the surgery again. And then probably switch into, stricter high volume and or lower volume prep work and actually train like a bodybuilder. So you're going to see me rebuilding the strength base. I wanted to get 405 for volume. I wanted to get back into deadlifting. The energy of all that I wanted to showcase. But if you're like, Russo is being lazy again, yeah, it's the gyno for sure. I have to get another fucking tit job. And as ridiculous as that is, this is actually really common in bodybuilding, is that the exact, argument that I had with the surgeon that is rated on cosmetic vanity evaluation upon his surgery online as well. And then he agreed to, do the content. I needed a performance-based remove the whole gland, I don't care how it looks surgery. And that disconnect led me to not only costing me potentially more money, costing me downtime. That tit job is not fun. The tit job is not easy to recover from. And getting a tit job, everyone around you's like, oh, Russo got another tit job, right? So it's like all those things combined have me like, all right, let's power build here and let's chase strength. As far as the dosings are concerned, I think that I found that I like 20 to 30 inject LGD a day with 10 to 40 inject yk11 a day on a baseline of 500 Sustanon, and then I will add in the oral yk11 if I feel like I can tolerate more. As far as the yk11 goes, it's definitely the freakiest, scariest drug. I would err on the side of caution because, yeah, I do have to stop training mid-workout if I notice that I'm too brittle. yk11 makes me crazy brittle, but what it is doing is it's recompositioning my set point physique around 240-ish pounds, with that MK677 being around, roughly 10 pounds of water that I've been flushing in and out. You can see it in my face, which is setting me up for a 230 pound presentable look, and a 220 pound, I'm like, okay, like it looks like Russo is legit around 220, right? So I'm still yo-yoing up here, and I have no intentions of rapidly, dropping anymore. I'm going to be honest. As much as I want to look camera presentable, IG ready, sure, but with that gyno there, it's not very motivating for me to get way down there. Everyone's just going to be like, oh, you have gyno now, and I'd be like, yeah, I have gyno. It's very known, and I have been like checking my gyno every morning to see if it's growing or not, and honestly, it's about the same. Like I don't think it's in progression mode, but it's to a point where if I know I was lean, the right one would be annoying. I feel like my left one wouldn't be that bad, and it just stinks because I already went through that surgery and I have to go through it again. But this is not something uncommon. Like a lot of bodybuilders have to do it multiple times, and it's over the exact reasonings I already mentioned in this vlog. And I just sit here knowing that I knew all that, and I caved because I wanted him on my channel. If I was more of an asshole off the camera, didn't want him on the channel, I didn't want to make like this whole, spiel on how like everyone in my DM box abuses exemestane and fucking anastrozole all the time to prevent gyno. This is actually preventing gains and destroying your cholesterol. Why don't you just go get a tit job? Here, I'm getting a tit job. Here's my doctor who's going to give me my tit job. And, here's his place of work. He's one of the best in Pittsburgh. Blah, blah, blah. And then I caved to him like, hey, I want this to look good when it comes out. I don't want to look like your nipple has like no elevation to it. I want it to look ultra aesthetic, and I hope that you maintain this after with your guruing Russo. That's kind of how it landed, where I should have been like, even if I am Russo, like this could grow back, and I want to get this done one time. I want the whole gland removed, and I probably should have went to a surgeon that like knows how a bodybuilder wants, and I don't want to put your surgery center on the line if someone is judging it after, since I'm a public figure. I had a bit of like a bit of a mess up that I admittedly agreed upon, but now I'm heavily regretting it because, oh man, like that recovery was not easy. I'm just going to be honest. Like I thought the recovery was going to be simple on that surgery, that tit job, but that tit job really determined like how I perceived. Like the minute I recover from the tit job, I'm like, shit, if this comes back, that was not this easy recovery that I thought it was. Like that's literally what was in my head immediately upon recovery of it. And I'm going to sit here and contemplate recovering my strength base. I'm going to recover it to more than it's ever been. I'm going to be stronger than I ever, and strongest Russo ever possible currently. And then I'm going to be like, okay, now that I have achieved this strength base and I have electricity to go all day and I can speak like this all day It's 11 at night and I can speak like this completely fine. I've been training, I've been doing everything much more high output, and my strength base is fully recovered. I'm ready to compete. Oh no, I gotta take some time off. I have to get this tit job that I already got done again. I have to regress in the strength. I have to atrophy my nitrogen retention back down. I have to lose sarcoplasmic, quality of my muscle, which will come back. But it's like another yo-yo game of like, it sounds like I'm spitting a bunch of bullshit on why I won't do my first show. But I'm just being completely dead ass, completely real. It's like, I'm going to have to get another one. And for me to just pump the brakes and get it done with right now, it's just not the move I want to make. I would rather get to the strength level that matches the current amount of tissue on me, because it was a very long road defying my genetics to get to this size. And right now I'm at a pretty big size. I have a lot of tissue, but I don't feel me until I hit the strength volume, or at least close to the strength volume I was at, the tenacity of the workouts I was at, the pace of the workouts I was at. And then I focus on dialing my cycle to actually max that out, versus I'm still sporadically adding in drugs based on how I feel each day and how the recovery is going. So if I feel like my CNS can tolerate it, I will up the dose for a couple days until maybe like I hit one leg day and collapse, and then I back everything off. It's still not a steady cycle, but as far as my output in the gym, how I'm feeling throughout the day, it's constant. The DOM cycles are no longer taking me out. I'm super excited to move forward, but in the back of my head, I have to announce to all you guys that I will get another gyno surgery. And that's like the big bummer, is that you're going to see this full recovery, and then it's going to be at a point where it's like, okay, like he's the strongest version of Russo, the most max rare candy Russo. The strength base is amazing. The tissue obviously needs some higher volume work, or has to back off the training days and do more strict lower volume. It's like, oh, nope. Now that this is all done, I'm going to pump the brakes and I'm going to go and get a tit job. And I already got a tit job, but this tit job is going to be different. And I'm going to have to really talk to him to be like, dude, I never want to get another tit job in my life, or I have to fly specifically to a bodybuilding gyno doctor that I know is going to remove the entire gland. So if you learned one thing from this video, if you abuse performance enhancers, you will most likely develop gynecomastia. If you are prone to gynecomastia, I would advise never to abuse aromatase inhibitors or selective estrogen receptor modulators to a point where you are ruining your internal health to stop the gyno. I would get a surgery, which is a gyno removal surgery, which you can think of as a tit job, and I would ask them to remove the entire gland. If you don't, you will be in my situation where I'm so happy to be almost 100% back and ready to push it to 150% max rare candy Russo. And then I'm going to have to be like, all right, I have to get this tit job. That's what's new with you. It's new with me. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week.